Hey, I am Jake. Previously on part 1, we cleared the cave, leveled the base, and built the entrance. Now, the real work begins.
Part 2 opening.
Scene 1. Splitting and lifting the stone slabs. Now that the foundation is set, the real structural test begins. To build the next phase, standard rough rocks won't cut it anymore. I need specialized materials. I'm looking for unique rock formations that I can split into long, wide stone slabs. Using just my hammer, I have to strike with absolute precision. These slabs are wider than a regular brick, but much thinner, making them highly fragile until they are secured. One wrong angle or too much force, and hours of work will shatter into useless dust. Once they break off cleanly, the real backbreaking work starts. I have to lift each heavy slab, balance my footing on this steep slope, and carry them up one by one to the cave platform. It takes every bit of my physical strength and focus, because dropping one.
Scene 2. Digging and sifting the soil at the base. With the stone slabs safely staged up top, I'm heading further down the mountain to a spot where the ground flattens out. I need a massive amount of soil for the mortar mix, but dragging raw dirt full of heavy gravel and sharp stones up this steep mountain is just a waste of energy. To work smart, I've decided to process the material right here at the base. I clear the top layer, dig deep into the rich earth with my shovel, and throw the raw dirt straight into my mesh sieve. By shaking it continuously over a large tarp, the heavy, useless pebbles and rocks stay trapped on top, while beautiful, ultra-fine soil rains down onto the sheet. It's a slow, repetitive process that burns your shoulders. But getting rid of that extra gravel now means I won't be carrying dead weight up the slope, and it ensures my building mix will be completely smooth. Scene 3. Chopping the dry bushes with an axe. Fine soil alone isn't strong enough to hold heavy structures. It will dry out, shrink, and crack under the mountain wind. To solve this, I'm bringing down the wild bushes and vegetation that I harvested and left out to dry earlier. Right here next to my tarp of clean soil, I take my axe and begin chopping these dry plants into tiny, fine organic fibers. It requires a steady hand and a sharp blade to get them to the right size. In ancient survival building, mixing these tough, dry fibers into the wet mud acts exactly like modern reinforcement bars in concrete. These tiny pieces of fiber will bind the mud matrix together from the inside, giving it incredible tensile strength and ensuring that once it sets, it will never crack or wash away. But to turn this dry mix into a workable mud mortar, I need a massive amount of water. Luckily, there's a river flowing at the very bottom of this mountain, but getting down there is a different story. I grab my bucket and begin the steep descent.
Oh no!
The terrain here is incredibly rugged, uneven, and covered in loose gravel. One wrong step on these rocks, and I'll go tumbling down the cliff. I have to move slowly, carefully calculating every single step. I finally reach the river and fill up the first bucket. Now the real torture begins, carrying 10 liters of sloshing water back up this steep, unforgiving incline. I trudge my way back up, pour the water into the dry mix, and turn right back around. Because of how much mortar I need to prep, I'll have to make this grueling trip down to the river and back up at least 2 or 3 more times. Look at my little companion here. The poor guy is completely exhausted from following me around all day. But out here in the wild, the rule is simple. Never give up. Your legs burn, your lungs scream, but you keep moving until the job is done. This is the final bucket of water. Now it's time to get my hands dirty. I have to knead this slowly, squeezing the wet soil and dry fibers together until it forms a smooth, sticky paste. It's messy, heavy work, but this raw earth is turning into our ultimate natural cement. Now that the mortar is mixed to perfection, the real engineering begins.
I load a good amount of this wet mud cement onto my shovel and bring it up to the construction spot. For a structure like this, you can't just slap the mud down. You have to be extremely precise. I slowly pour the mortar onto the uneven ground and use my bare hands to spread it evenly, creating a thick, level bed. Next, I lift the first heavy stone slab and press it firmly into the mud, setting it vertically. I do the exact same thing on the opposite side to create 2 solid pillars. Once they are perfectly balanced, I slap another heavy layer of wet gara right on top of both vertical stones. Finally, I lift the longest, flattest slab and carefully place it horizontally across the top, bridging the gap and creating a solid stone box. Step by step, using this ancient method, I have to build the entire structure. One slight misalignment, and the whole thing could cave in under its own weight.
Building this structure piece by piece under these conditions has taken a massive toll on me. Hours feel like days out here, and honest labor like this requires endless patience. But seeing the shape come together keeps me going. Now I'm adding a crucial feature to this stone wall. I'm placing a strong wooden stick vertically right on top of the built section, and by carefully locking stone slabs around it on both sides, I'm crafting a small window. This will bring air and light into this dark mountain cave. Guys, seeing this dream turn into reality takes everything I have. If you can see the sheer hard work and dedication behind this project, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is the only motivation that keeps me standing out here in the wild. Never give up.
All right, the main structure is standing, and the window is perfectly in place. But looking outside, the mountain weather is taking a dangerous turn. The wind is picking up, and a storm is rolling in. My body is completely broken from today's heavy lifting, so it's time to take a quick break. We'll stop here for the night and continue the rest of the work tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. A new day is here, and both me and my puppy are finally awake. The wild storm from last night has passed, and it's time to face today's challenges. But before we pick up the heavy tools and push our bodies to the limit, we need some serious fuel. We're going to have a quick breakfast, get our energy back up, and then dive right back into the construction. While the camp is warming up, I set a kettle on the chulha to brew some green tea. To save time, I head back down the slope to chop a fresh batch of firewood for the day. By the time I carry the logs back up, the tea is ready. I drop in some spices, serve it hot in a cup, and take a moment to just sit and enjoy this peace before the heavy lifting begins. Now that the tea has given me a fresh burst of energy, it's time to tackle the next major engineering phase of this build. I head back down to gather 2 heavy, solid stones, carry them up, and use our freshly made mud mortar to lock them securely into the existing structure. These stones are crucial. They will act as high anchor points to hold the weight of the timber. Next, I take 2 massive logs that I chopped earlier, each measuring about 2.5 meters in length. These are incredibly heavy, but I carefully hoist them up and rest them firmly across the fixed stones. To transform these 2 parallel logs into a functional structural grid, I take a batch of smaller 1-meter logs. Using my axe with steady precision, I split each of these smaller pieces cleanly down the middle, one by one. Once I have enough split timber, I align them horizontally across the main long beams, spacing them out evenly. The final result looks exactly like a set of train tracks or a sturdy wooden ladder. This creates a rock-solid, interconnected framework that will evenly distribute all the weight we are about to add. Piece by piece, almost every single log is now lined up, and the basic frame is complete. But right now, it's just resting there. One heavy gust of mountain wind or a sudden shift in weight could collapse the whole grid.
Now comes the most critical part, making this structure completely bulletproof. I need to lock these split logs together tightly. I'm going through every single intersection, placing heavy-duty nails at the joints. Since I don't have a standard hammer out here, I'm improvising. I grip my axe tightly and use the heavy, flat back of the axe head to drive the nails deep into the timber. It takes precise, heavy swings to make sure the wood doesn't split, but with every strike, the frame tightens up. One by one, I am securing every single piece until this wooden grid becomes a single, immovable shield.